Hey, love, real quick before we dive in, I don't know how this happened, but we're almost midway through 2025. And if you're not quite where you thought you'd be by now, you're not alone. And I have something really special for you. I'm hosting a free live event called the Mid-Year Reset, where I will walk you through my signature mid-year goal setting and visioning process. I've used this process for decades, and I'm so excited to share it with you. This will help you reflect, realign, and reignite your vision so you can manifest a powerful second half of 2025. You can save your spot at melaniemishler.com/reset. And this is a completely free event, but if you want to go deeper, there's an optional VIP upgrade that gives you lifetime access to the replay, a workbook, a group coaching call, and credit towards any of my programs. So head over to melaniemishler.com/reset and I'll see you there. Welcome to Manifest with Melanie, the podcast that helps you activate your manifestation superpower and build the soul-aligned life and business you're meant for. I'm your host, Melanie Mishler, equal parts woo-woo, neuroscience, and strategy. And each week, I share proven tools in raw talk to help you step into your full potential life. Are you ready? Let's go. Good morning, love, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that we don't always see as something positive. We don't always view it as a gift. I want to talk about the power of dissatisfaction. Now, I know this might not feel empowering or spiritual or like a positive thing, but I want you to hear me out because dissatisfaction is one of the clearest signs that transformation is nearby, that you're right on the edge of something really, really big. It's really that spark that wakes us up to what isn't working in our lives. It reminds us that we're ready for more. And very often when we have dissatisfaction, it's viewed as kind of a bad thing. And it's really common to do things like numb it out or push through it. We do all kinds of ways to numb it out, over shopping, over scrolling, over drinking, just keeping ourselves really, really busy, overworking, kind of white knuckling our way through it. But I look at dissatisfaction as a really, really good sign. It's a sign that we're actually ready for the transformation we desire. It's a sign that our desires are actually alive and well. Because let's be real, we're not usually compelled to shift or change or grow until we reach that deeper level of discomfort and dissatisfaction. I want you to really think about this. In today's crazy world, we have a really high tolerance level. We just kind of keep increasing our levels of things like financial stress and emotional tension, overwhelm. We normalize it. We often just increase our tolerance level instead of becoming aware and changing the pattern of what's going on until one day we will hit a threshold and that discomfort becomes unbearable. And that, my love, is a very, very good thing because as hard as that moment can be, that's where the real magic begins. Because that dissatisfaction, it's not something to fear. It's really something to honor. It's something to listen to because it means your soul is waking up. Your desires are waking up. And there comes a time when staying the same and keeping things like as the status quo, it actually feels more restrictive and painful than doing something different and stretching beyond our current circumstances. But here's what I want to offer you right up front before we really dive in, is you don't have to let the discomfort get to the point of collapse. What I mean is you don't have to hit rock bottom. You don't have to wait until your discomfort or dissatisfaction is literally screaming at you. You don't have to break down to break through. I know, hitting rock bottom or really, really hitting a place of extreme dissatisfaction is very, very powerful. But here's the truth. Our bodies, they're whispering to us all the time. And those whispers happen long before our body's kind of screaming at us. And what that means is if you're feeling any dissatisfaction right now, that low hum, it's kind of like a tension that lives beneath the surface of our lives that says, this isn't quite right. Or often it sounds like, I want more. I want more for my life. That is your invitation. What that is it's your internal GPS saying that this isn't aligned, that there's something off, right? There's something more for me. There's a different way to live. And if you catch it there, if you catch it when you're in that low level hum, that kind of initial tension in the whisper, then you can change with intention instead of urgency. In that phase, you get to transform from desire, not from desperation. So yes, there is power when you hit that energetic threshold, but there's also a really, really deep power in listening to your body and listening to that sooner. There's power in trusting that ache, that nudge, not because you have to, but because you get to. But what a lot of people do, and especially today, is we just kind of numb it out with all the things I mentioned before: overworking, over scrolling, over committing, over shopping, drinking, all the things. So let's talk about some real world examples of how dissatisfaction fuels change. I was listening to this podcast the other day about couples and money. It's a really good podcast my friend got me hooked on. And couples call in when they're in financial distress, and he kind of coaches them through action plans. And man, let me just tell you that money is the number one thing that couples fight about. Research has actually proven that. It's a big topic. So in this episode, this couple looked really successful from the outside, but they had about $1 million in debt. And as they kind of went through the roster, my stomach just kept getting sicker and sicker, because they had over $100,000 in credit card debt. They had mortgages, second mortgages, lines of credit on the home. They had student debt. They had, get this, $140,000 in financed vehicles, one that they had just purchased, and they were financially just drowning. But here's the thing. That situation, it didn't happen overnight. They didn't just wake up one day with that financial crisis. It happened really, really slowly over years. What happened is they just kept building a tolerance for being in debt. And it's only when their dissatisfaction with the situation become unbearable, that's when they reached out for help. And that's when they made the decision that something had to change. And reaching that level of dissatisfaction was so powerful because it fueled the decision which could change their life. It fueled them to get control of their financial health, to actually look at the situation, feel the discomfort, name what was going on, and start getting control. And love, I can relate to this because even though I've never been in debt like that couple, thank God, there was a time when I really thought it was normal to do things like finance a car or carry credit card debt or take out loans, because I was raised to think that that's just normal adulting. That's what I believed, because what I saw was everyone around me was doing the same thing. And so it didn't feel like a problem. I didn't know anyone who just went out and paid cash or wrote a check for a car. Everyone was financing them. That was just the thing you did. And honestly, back then, I wasn't really losing sleep over that. I was used to doing things like monthly payments. I was used to a balance sitting on my credit card. I had just kind of built up a tolerance for that kind of low grade financial tension without even realizing it, until one day I was just getting frustrated. I just kept getting frustrated and I hit my limit. And it's not because someone told me I should change, and it wasn't some big crisis. We didn't have any kind of financial crisis, but because I felt this internal kind of like, this growing discomfort with how things were. I just got sick of making payments every month and looking at, the credit card bill and things like that. And then eventually I couldn't ignore it anymore. I didn't want to ignore it anymore. And that's when Andy and we decided to go through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. And if you have never done that, it is the most powerful thing you can do for your financial freedom, for your financial well-being. And let me tell you, it wasn't just like a budgeting course for us. It was this huge paradigm shift. It was a wake-up call and a full-blown mindset shift. When we went through this program, we really started to look at the way we were using our money, the way we were talking about it, the energy behind it. And suddenly, all the normal things that we were doing, they didn't feel normal anymore. The things that we were accustomed started to feel really kind of heavy and misaligned, and like they didn't belong to the future we wanted to create. We had big goals and big dreams, and they just weren't aligning up. So that shift, that entire transformation only happened because we started reaching that point of dissatisfaction. Because before that, I didn't have any fuel to change. I didn't really have any desire to do anything different. I wasn't uncomfortable. But when you hit that edge, when your soul says, like, I want something different, or I want to feel free, I want to live differently, that moment, it's so sacred, love. It's total gold, because it's the sign that you're finally ready to shift, that you're finally ready for a transformation or to grow into the next version of yourself. And this goes way beyond money. This shows up in our health, our relationships, our careers, our sense of purpose. And for me, this also showed up in my body. I'll give you another personal example, because I'm always sharing personal examples. Here's the truth. Years ago, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was a modern dancer, and I was an advanced yoga student. I was super, super healthy. I performed on stage. My body had strength and so much freedom, and I felt really powerful and fluid in my body. And then slowly, again, this always usually happens slowly, I stopped moving my body the way I love to move. And slowly I started gaining weight. It didn't happen all at once, but it crept in little by little, almost like a frog boiling in water, if you've ever heard that analogy. And I didn't realize how far from myself I had drifted until the time I was in deep discomfort. Now, I want to be really clear about this. This isn't about weight shame. It's not about body shame. It's not about chasing some beauty standard. This is about alignment and embodiment. And I know so many women, myself included, I'm totally raising my hand, who try to kind of paint body positivity over real physical discomfort. And I equate this to painting over mold. Instead of addressing the issue and solving the issue, we just kind of paint it over with some toxic positivity. We tell ourselves, this is fine. We say, I love my body. I love my body. I'm going to be body positive. And here's the thing. Of course, I do love and appreciate my body. Even when I was at my heaviest, I have a deep love for my body and I appreciate it every day. But beneath that, there was a deeper truth, because the truth was I didn't feel good. And this had nothing to do with how I looked, but it was all about how I felt inside my body. And all that time, my body was trying to talk to me, but I kept layering that positivity on top of the pain and discomfort. And that is not self-love. That's avoidance dressed up as empowerment. I want to be really, really clear about this, because this is where toxic positivity, what we talked about a couple episodes ago, comes in. And if you didn't listen to that episode, I'll link it in the show notes, because it really ties into this. It was a really powerful episode, because here's the truth. I was pretending to be positive about my body, but in reality, I was tired. I was physically exhausted, heavy, sluggish, and I had some untreated health issues that were even compounding the problem. But more than anything, what I was feeling was I missed the version of myself who felt alive in her skin, who trusted her body, who enjoyed movement and flexibility and pleasure and power. So that was my moment of sacred dissatisfaction. It wasn't rooted in shame. It was rooted in desire. It was rooted in this desire to return to myself, to reclaim that fluid, fierce, embodied energy that I knew. I knew it was still inside of me. I just had kind of covered it up and wasn't able to access it. And this is what I want you to hear. You can love yourself and still long for more. You can honor your body and you can still feel uncomfortable in it. And the same is true for every area of your life. You can love your partner and still crave a deeper connection or a more meaningful partnership. You can be grateful for your career and still yearn for more impact, more purpose, or more freedom in it. That discomfort is not betrayal. It is a sacred message. So let it speak to you. The truth is, we tolerate so much that isn't aligned. It's not aligned with who we are. And then finally, we'll reach that energetic threshold where our body and our soul and our nervous system, they're all kind of in union, and they'll say, I can't do this anymore, or I don't want to do this anymore. And the reason that moment right there is so powerful is because it comes baked in with decision-making energy. It's this clarity that rises from deep, deep inside of you that says, it's time. Time's up. Something has to change. I have to change. I can't do this anymore. And love, that's when transformation, it becomes inevitable. And often when it happens very, very quickly. So if you're feeling any of that tension in your life right now, if there's something that feels heavy or stuck or off, maybe like you're just done, then this, my love, is your permission slip to stop tolerating, to stop covering it up, painting over the mold. This is your invitation to stop numbing out with overwork and over scrolling. It's your invitation to stop painting over the mold with things like overwork and over scrolling, over shopping, over drinking, and start listening. You don't need to wait for a crisis. You don't need to feel broken, but you do need to pay attention to that dissatisfaction, because that whisper, that ache inside of you, that rising discomfort, it's here to wake you up to your true potential and your true power. So let it wake you up, love, because it's time. In fact, there's no time like now, because here's the truth. Time is just going to keep passing on. If you just keep ignoring it, then another year or 5 years is going to pile on top of your dissatisfaction. And we don't want that. It's time to wake up to your power and to your desires now, right this very second. And if you're ready to actually do something different this time, if you're tired of making the same promises every year and then falling back into the same cycles, then love, I want to personally invite you to join me for my mid-year reset workshop. I don't know if you realize this, but July 2nd is the exact midpoint of 2025. It also happens to be my birthday, and I just love that my birthday falls on the midpoint of the year, because I always use this time to really reset and recalibrate. So I'm doing the workshop on July 1st. I don't work on my birthday. It's totally free. And this is designed to help you reconnect with your vision, realign your energy so that we can make the second half of 2025 your most powerful season yet. It doesn't matter how behind you feel for the first half of 2025. It doesn't matter if your vision board is collecting dust. If that doesn't matter, the rest of the year does not have to be a repeat of that. This can be the time when everything changes. So grab a friend and come join me. It's going to be a really powerful event, something a little bit different than what I've done before. We're actually going to do the work during the live workshop so that you don't walk away with more homework and more things to do. You walk away with super clarity. Again, grab a friend and go sign up. There's a link in show notes, and I really hope to see you there. It's going to be a powerful event. All right, love, until next week, thank you so much for being here with me today, and keep manifesting an epic life.